everybody. Welcome to another episode of Cinema Crunch. My name is Rose Donahue, and we are filming at the Quantum Arc Media Studio in Las Vegas, Nevada. There are endless stories to be told here on this planet, but today I'll be speaking with an award-winning cinematographer whose work is really out of this world. Please welcome James Neihouse.
Hey, thank you, Rose. You couldn't,
Thank you.
You couldn't resist that,
I
could
couldn't.
you?
I know.
Out of
I
this
was
world?
like, you've probably heard this joke
No,
so
I've
many
never heard
times.
it before. I've never heard it before.
And I was also a little joke, a little pretending we have a live audience right now. Please
There we
welcome
go.
James Neihouse.
Yeah, there we go.
We're
Absolutely.
just
we are live.
excited you're here. We are live.
Yeah.
We're making it
Yeah,
happen.
that's right.
So thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, good. I'm glad you just flew in.
I just flew in. My arms are really tired.
Yeah.
If you get a joke, I get a joke.
Totally.
All right,
I love it.
I just came in
it.
from Florida this morning.
Awesome. So let's jump right in so that the audience has a
I'm
little
glad
context.
you didn't say dive right in.
Oh, I wish I had. Okay.
right.
So we've got a lot of things to explain to the audience
There
now.
we go.
So first off, you've done work with NASA.
I have. I've worked with NASA for quite a few years. Quite a few decades.
Decades now, yes.
I was 2 when I started. Yeah.
Hey, you were into it.
There you go.
So you taught astronauts how to use an IMAX camera in outer space.
Right. We when IMAX decided they wanted to shoot in space, they said, "Well, how are you going to do it?" And then IMAX said, "Well, I guess we'll have to either fly somebody, or we'll have to train the astronauts." And NASA said, "You're going to do the latter. You're going to train the astronauts." So I tried to fly, but they just kept finding me when I'd stow away.
Somehow they feel like they have pretty stringent rules about that.
Those sniffy dogs just really,
There's James again.
There he is. They had my scent. But no, we trained over the 7 films that we did in space. We trained about 130, 140 astronauts for 24 space shuttle flights and about 7 or 8 space station expeditions. So it's been quite a few. Yeah,
it's amazing. And the content was used for 7 different films.
For 7 films, starting with Dream is Alive, which was the story of how the space shuttle program worked, and all the way up to our final film, A Beautiful Planet, which was a look at the Earth from the platform of the International Space Station. Mm-hmm. And between that, we did another look at Earth with Blue Planet. We did Destiny in Space, kind of looking out into the cosmos from here. Mission to Mir came along when the Soviet Union crumbled, and we decided to go fly with the Russians and see their program. And cool. Then Hubble, which was about the Hubble Space Telescope.
Right. So those were film cameras that you were teaching?
Those were all film cameras. Up until Hubble was the first time we used a digital camera. It was a hybrid film. We used digital and film. Okay. But up until that point, the first 5 were all film. Wow. 65 millimeter IMAX, 15 perforation wide film frame. So if you think of your standard 35 millimeter still frame, it's sort of that aspect ratio, but bigger. Goes through the camera 6 feet a second, and so you don't have to do the math. That's 3 minutes for 1,000 feet. And when you turn the thing on, you want to be serious about what's in front of the camera.
Yeah, right.
Because your mistakes show up really big on a screen that's can be as big as 117 feet wide.
Totally.
Yeah. So it's a big format.
Yeah, big format.
Big format. It's a big picture. Yeah.
The logistics, there must have been some very serious logistics in terms of the weight and the amount of space that the film was taking up.
Yeah. If we were lucky, we would get 30 minutes of film on board a shuttle flight. That's 10 cans. That's 100 pounds of film. Wow. I think the number for going to space aboard shuttle was something like $10,000 a pound. So that's just the film.
Yeah.
We also had a camera that flew in the cargo bay of the space shuttle, sort of the back of the pickup truck. Mm-hmm. And we made longer rolls for that because we could not reload it. So we had about 8 minutes of film in that camera.
Wow.
So every inch of it was oversubscribed, actually. We'd have a shot list, and the astronauts could go down and check off what was on the shot list and whether they shot it or whether they missed it. And
That's what I was going to ask. Did you have communication with them while they were up there to help?
in the early days, back in the early 80s and 90s, we didn't really. It was all through mission control. It was, if you ever played the game Telephone, where you tell somebody the story and they tell somebody the story, that was kind of what working with the astronauts through mission control was. You'd tell this guy something, and he'd tell that guy something, and finally it'd get up to the astronauts, and 99% of the time it wasn't exactly what you said.
Yeah.
Everybody put their own spin on it. So that was tough. But in the later years, after Space Station got up, they actually put a phone system in Space Station.
Neat.
Best phone system in the world. You can call anybody in the world for free, and nobody can call you.
Hey, all right.
So no telemarketers,
Yeah,
nothing
that's
like
nice.
that. But we also had email contact with the astronauts.
Sure.
We officially weren't allowed to do business over email. We had to still go through the whole route of NASA for that. But the astronauts could email us. So if they started the conversation, we could answer them.
Oh, okay.
And if they phoned us, we could talk to them.
Answer the call.
Yeah. And it's interesting whenever your phone ID comes up Space Station.
That sounds cool.
I missed my first call from space. I'd gone to the restroom and left my phone on my desk, and I came back and had a missed call from Space Station. They left a voice message, though.
That's
It was
good.
like, "Hi, this is Terry Virts on board the space station. I've got a question for you. You can't call me back, so I'll call you." So, yeah.
That's crazy. I kind of want to put someone in my phone at Space Station now just to get that feeling.
Yeah.
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 So what about the logistics of training on Earth? Like, did they wear their space outfits while they were learning to film?
Most all the filming that was done directly by the astronauts was all in normal Earth environment. It was just zero G.
Yeah.
So I mean, they could be in their running shorts or whatever they happened to be dressed in to do that. So that wasn't difficult. We didn't really have a camera outside that they could operate. The camera in the cargo bay was fixed to the structure, and then it was run via computer control, eventually computer control. Originally, it was a little pad that you had to enter a bunch of numbers in, and it was really weird. But it took it took like 17 keystrokes to change an f-stop.
Oh.
It was not very, it was user hostile is what the astronauts called it. But eventually we got a computer, a laptop that had a display of the image they were getting, could change lenses, it could do all sorts of things via the laptop. So there wasn't any real need to train with EMU, extravehicular mobility unit. You have to learn the acronyms.
All the acronyms. I bet there's a lot of acronyms.
Yeah, a lot of it. Well, NASA's an acronym.
I know. I was going to say NASA kind of gives it away.
And when you come up with an acronym, you get extra points if it creates a word.
Yes.
So
into that
NASA is
name.
actually kind of become a word in NASA.
has.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Our IMAX cargo bay camera became the ICPC or the Icky Bicky.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice to work with people with a sense of humor.
Well, with NASA, you've got to keep a bit of a sense of humor because it's no offense to any of my NASA buddies, but it's a lot of bureaucracy. It's the old joke is we didn't fly to the moon; we climbed up on the paperwork. So
Yeah.
it was tough at times, so you have to keep a
Yeah.
good sense of humor.
Well,
And
it's a good attitude.
some of the astronauts had better senses of humor than the others, but for the most part, we got really, really good crew members to shoot for us, which made my job really easy.
Yeah. There was one shot I saw on your reel where it was like looking down at the spaceship. It was like there was a camera not on the spaceship.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Well, it fell overboard one day.
The camera. No,
Just kidding.
you got me.
It was our cargo bay camera.
Okay.
And we attached it to a German-made pallet satellite. Basically, it's a structure that was carried up in the cargo bay of the shuttle. The arm grabbed it, took it out, and let go of it, and they flew away from it. It wasn't propelled. The shuttle flew away from it. And as the shuttle was flying away, we were remotely shooting I wrote the computer code down to the Cape on a little 386 computer that would upload to that camera ahead of time,
Okay.
and then it said, okay, at 7:30 p.m., roll the camera for 30 seconds, basically is what it was.
Oh,
and
wow.
we had no viewfinder. We had no way of knowing if the shuttle was supposed to be
Yeah.
where it was supposed to be. And so it's probably the most complex live action film sequence ever done.
It sounds like
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
You
It
guys-
took us 18 months to organize the whole
Wow.
thing. Yeah.
for that specific shot.
For that 8 minutes of film.
Wow.
Yeah.
You guys were pioneering the drone.
It was
In
a
a
drone on
way.
steroids. It was a drone on steroids.
Yeah, that's awesome. Cool. So are you still working with NASA now? Kind of bopping
Right now
around?
we don't have a project that
Makes
I'm
sense.
working on.
Yeah.
Well, we do actually. I'm the DP and director of a large format film about the aurora that's in conjunction with NASA.
Cool.
That we've had a few trips to Alaska and Norway, and the ultimate goal of the film is to launch a camera into the aurora, which has never been done before.
Mm-hmm.
So I was the obvious choice to. It can't be done. Go have Neihouse do it.
Awesome.
We're kind of in the process of that. So that's with NASA, and I just got contacted about another film that somebody wants to make about the space program.
Cool.
So
Great.
I'm kind of the space cadet.
I was going to say, yeah, you're the
Yeah.
go-to person. That's a good place to be. Like when you're
It is. I wish they were a little closer together. It would make my bank account a lot happier. But,
Oh, yeah, sure.
You know how that is.
Yeah.
The life of a freelancer.
Right, of course. But you do have that specialized thing that other people just don't have.
Kind
that
of,
experience.
yeah.
So
I
that's
guess you
pretty
could say
awesome.
that.
Yeah. So let's circle back about,
Okay.
how did you get to this point? You started, so you went to Brooks.
I went to
in
Brooks Institute
California.
in Santa Barbara. I was originally from Arkansas. Went out there to get a photography education, hoping that I could maybe work for NASA, and got into underwater. Graham Ferguson, president of IMAX, showed up about 2 months after I was hired to shoot underwater with an IMAX camera that had never been done before. So along the way, we helped him design a housing for the camera. I'd taught Graham how to scuba dive so he could go in the water and see what was being shot. So they took me along to keep him alive and to be a still photographer underwater and a grip and shark bait, being the most expendable member of the crew.
Expendable, but keeping everyone alive.
Keeping everybody alive,
like,
keeping
not a
the
big
director
deal.
alive,
Yeah.
no big deal. So that got me introduced into IMAX. And from there, Graham brought me onto the space program. We got into space because of Michael Collins, who was he was the command module pilot for Apollo 11. He was the poor guy stuck up in orbit around the moon while Buzz and Neil went to the surface. But he was head of the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum when it opened in 1976. And he saw the IMAX screen. He said, an IMAX camera will be the best way to show the world what it's like in space, or what I saw in space. And I think you should really try to fly one on the space shuttle. And Graham's response was, what was the space shuttle? Because it hadn't been flying. It wasn't even built yet.
Yeah.
So it was that far ahead. In 1976, we didn't fly until 1984. Wow. So 8 years in development
a
for
lot
that.
of planning.
Yeah.
Pre-production is key.
Pre-production is key.
People underestimate the value of pre-production.
Most of our pre-production on these space films is about 2 years, 2.5 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
For 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For 43 minutes for the total film.
Okay.
We spent 18 months for one shot, basically the drone shot. But we'd have to pick where we were going to put the camera in the cargo bay. We'd have to pick that spot, months ahead of time, because they had to build and certify hardware, make sure it didn't interfere with any of the other space things going on.
Right.
We were all non-interference.
Right.
We were
right.
we were the bottom feeders on the program.
Sure.
Everything else comes before IMAX.
Right.
Until it's time for the premiere, and then everyone's
like,
NASA, I need a ticket.
Yeah.
I need a ticket. I
Wow.
need a ticket. Yeah.
So I noticed looking at your reel that you've done a lot of nature videography, photography as well, underwater. It seems like you're working in kind of uncontrolled environments
Yeah,
in
that's
some
me out of
way.
control.
It
Yeah,
seems like
yeah,
that's kind of a pattern in your work.
I said I was the Dirty Harry of IMAX for a while. Every damn dirty job nobody else wants, I got. They wanted to film wild tigers one time, and Graham said, "Well, you can go try. It won't happen, but you can go try." But I managed to do it. Polar bears, chimpanzees,
Yeah, I
all
saw
the
that.
stuff that's
Seals,
seals,
little otters.
little otters.
Yeah, like,
They're vicious little buggers.
Oh, really?
They're cute, but don't pet them.
Noted. Noted. Yeah, they're beautiful shots, so it's amazing
Thank you.
to capture
Thank
them.
you. It's great to be able to share that experience with people on that giant screen because it really puts the audience in the place where the camera was. It's a very experiential, very immersive format, IMAX.
What are some of the processes that you bring to a project when it is a less controllable environment?
Luck, a lot of luck, a lot of pre-planning. Again, it's pre-production, anticipation of what you might need, what you will have to absolutely have, and what you might need, and then you have to go off the rails and say, well, what if this totally stupid thing happens? What are we going to do? And you just have to be prepared for everything. We went to Kazakhstan to film a launch of a Russian rocket, and you can't really get there from here. So we carried, I think, about 6 tons of gear with us, 5 or 6 cameras, and everything to support them, and a 15-person crew, and it was a big behemoth of a second unit shoot.
Yeah, travel. Wow. Have you lost a couple cameras, a couple lenses along the way?
We had a few years ago, when we were making A Beautiful Planet, we lost one camera on launch when a SpaceX vehicle failed on ascent. That's the only one we've lost there. We intentionally burned up a complete set of Canon cameras and lenses after A Beautiful Planet was finished. They just don't right now. They don't have the weight down. It's called down mass. They don't have the down mass to bring unnecessary things back from space. So all the top priority, again, being the bottom feeders, we left $100,000 worth of cameras up there to be put in the junk can and tossed out to burn up.
Wow.
But we knew that going in, so that really wasn't a loss.
Right. If you're expecting it.
Yeah, we busted a glass on the front of a camera blast housing in Kazakhstan.
There was a shot I saw where there was like a crack across the lens after. I was like,
crash. That was the Kazakhstan That was the very first piece of space station to be launched, and the director, producer, production manager just walked back and forth between the rocket and the camera for the entire time we were setting up, which was a couple of days, picking up every little piece they could find that could possibly blow into the window. But what happened is it just blew the concrete and stuff up randomly and nailed it, and broke it, which was kind of fun to see because, it's the rocket disappears, then bam, 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 you get pelted with all this, and it's in the movie. Space Station, and I've seen people take their 3D glasses off and look at them. Oh, they're not broken. That's
awesome. That's pretty crazy. So you've taught astronauts, you've taught film students. What are some consistent weak points in beginning filmmakers?
With the astronauts, and I think pretty much with any students, it's getting the concept of how shots work together. With the still photograph, you take one picture and you're done. With a movie, all these things have to mesh together to tell the story and to move the story along. And so, you've got to get the wide shot, the medium shot, the close-up, and they've all got to fit together. And I think that's probably the toughest thing. It was the toughest thing for the astronauts to understand. Interesting. And how they fit together, and it's how the passage of time works because of these edits. And,
right.
So I think it's the toughest.
The foresight of what the final product needs and will hopefully look like.
Because the best filmmakers are editors too, and when you know how to put those things together ahead of time, it's a lot easier. But astronauts are not editors, so
right.
they
have a couple other things going on.
a couple other things going on, like staying alive.
Right, right, sure. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Cool. What is a tip you would suggest, like a little exercise people could do at home to start thinking that way?
Watch movies. See how they move the story along with the shots. It's pretty simple. I mean, the wide shot, medium shot, close up, that's the standard thing. But there's other ways. You do it in 3D. We like to do it all in one shot, so we'd move the camera in from a wide shot, close up situation. So, but I think just watching movies and seeing, and really the best way to learn it is, even if you do it on an iPhone, go out and shoot something and then edit it.
Yeah.
One of the things that I learned the most, I shot television news for a couple of years in Santa Barbara, and would shoot 3 or 4 stories a day, come back in at 4 o'clock, and then have to have them edited for the 6 o'clock news. So you got 2 hours to edit 4 pieces, and you learned in a hurry what you needed.
Yeah.
And how they fit together. And I think that was probably the best training I got in shot selection.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's just go ahead, do it. The iPhone, the camera phones don't cost you anything to do.
Right, it's super possible to do today.
Yeah, it's so much easier to do today.
Right.
It's cheating. It's cheating, I say.
Kids these days have it so easy.
Right. I walked uphill both ways to school in the cold.
In the snow.
Yeah, in Florida. Yeah. No.
Very cool. Well, I appreciate that advice. Any other tips or tricks you'd suggest?
For any filmmaker, it's just a matter of making the movies. It's I've heard that you've got like 12 or 14 bad movies in you. Get them out in a hurry, out of the way in a hurry, and just don't take no for an answer and keep doing it. If you don't have the passion I think is the biggest thing. If you don't have the passion to go that little extra step to rise above the noise level that we have with the digital revolution. If you don't have the passion to put your work above that digital noise level, because everybody has a camera that they can shoot with now, and you have to be better to be noticed, and then you have to be a lot better to get funded. So it's a matter of having a passion to go that extra step in order to make your film stand out from that big crowd.
Yeah. Good advice. Yeah. Cool. I love that. So where can people find out more about your work, follow you on social media?
Well, I am social media as 70mm 70 millimeter DP on both Twitter and Instagram is the easiest way to find me. And then I have a Facebook page, James Neihouse ASC is my Facebook page. And
check it out.
Check it out.
Yeah, cool. Well, thank you.
I even put my email, my 70mm DOP@gmail.com, so people can email me.
Can reach you there, right there.
Can reach me there, yeah. I toured in Turkey in November with a State Department program, and about 2 months ago, I got an email from a school teacher that said, well, we met you in Istanbul, and our students have decided to do a space-related science project, and we'd like to get your input on what they're doing. And
That's
so
sweet.
I made a little video for them. Then I called one of my astronaut friends, and I said, Terry, I need you to make a video for these kids. And because they'd seen a beautiful planet, and he was in a beautiful planet. So he made a video for the kids and sent it to them. So that email got them their astronaut in their science program in
awesome.
Istanbul, Turkey.
Yeah, right. That's the amazing thing about the world today.
Yeah.
You can really connect all
Connections.
across.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for joining me
My
today.
pleasure.
I really
I'm
appreciate
glad to
it.
be here, and it's been fun.
Good. Thank you again. And thank you all for tuning into this episode of Cinema Crunch. Again, my name is Rose Donahue, and we're filming at the Quantum Arc Media Studio in Las Vegas, Nevada. Catch you next time.